my name is MARIEKE in case you're new here, and welcome to my channel. Today we're continuing and finishing up our first Winx Club BJD custom. This is part 2, so I highly recommend to you to go back and watch part 1 if you haven't. The link is down below. I'm super excited to finish her up, so with no further ado, let's get started with the one and only, the radiant queen diva and fashion icon Stella, the fairy of the sun, moon and stars. In part 1, we left off with me preparing the shoe bases out of air dry clay. How about working some magic to make these ugly things into something workable? After making 2 clay soles, I continue by wrapping the hard clay into foam clay to get a shape that I want. It was way easier to shape around a heart center than to make something out of this puffy foam clay from the get-go. Just the toe caps are missing. I need these toe caps to build a nice boot around them. Next, I wrapped the leg into saran wrap to be able to create a boot pattern. This is giving me... Now that the leg is wrapped in cotton fabric and my wanted seam lines are marked and pinned. From here I can take the mock-up apart to create an actual working pattern out of it. The lines are cleaned up, just the seam allowance is missing and can be cut out. Now I can finally cut the real thing out of orange PVC leather. I sewed the front seam already and can now open it up to sew the seam allowance down for an accent seam. Like so. Next I can hem the top down and sew the back seam. But because the shoe is so small and I can't really do the same technique, I have to add a faux seam line to achieve the same look in the back. After the boot is sewn, I just have to flatten the seam with my little pink iron to make the shape look nicer. Here is the boot already pulled into place. To cover up the heel, I created the separate pleather piece. I hem it and glue it to the shoe with Uhu glue. When dried up, I can cut into the bottom to create a clean bottom shoe and sew it. Like so. And I hated it. It was way too bulky and I remade it to make it look much better like this. Just have to fill up the rest with some more air dry foam clay.
Whatever's with you. Wear whatever? Have you lost your mind?
Accessories. I went a little bit crazy at the dollar store and bought a bunch of jewelry that I will be using for Stella. Isn't this anklet just perfect as her hip chain? I was so happy when I found it. At first I wanted to give her some hoops, but then I decided against it. And these rings are just perfect as bangles.
We'd be done a lot sooner if you know who had helped us.
We agreed that you were gonna clean the floors.
No, you two agreed. Hey! You want me to break a nail?
Oh, and she did. I accidentally dropped her hand and I had to remake a nail. Luckily, the actual hand did not break. To juice up the nail art a little, I'm using this brass earring to glue on top of the nails. I just have to sand the back a little bit. Ah yes, the purse. It wasn't giving Stella, it wasn't serving, so I quickly remade it. The shape is more Y2K, more iconic in my opinion. Just a few chains are missing and a magnet for the closure. And now we have an iconic purse. What do you think? Which shape do you prefer? I'm super glad I changed it. I think it looks way better. Also, to prevent the skirt to ride up, I sewed a ribbon into it to keep it in place.
Well, what do you think?
It's gorgeous.
Mind you, it wasn't cheap, but look at it. It was calling me from the shop window. Buy me, please. And of course you answered its plea. How very noble of you.
On to the coat. I actually started working on Stella back in December, but I was never happy with the fabric choices. The coat almost got scrapped, but luckily, by surprise, I found this stretch velvet in my stash. It was like, I don't have any fabric. Look here, see? Oh, I have orange fabric in the store. But the only thing I scrapped about this coat was the fur trim that I had in my concept drawing. Because it is stretch fabric, I ironed on some interfacing to not have to worry about that. And to hide that ugly interfacing, I'm giving the coat this beautiful shimmering silk lining. I quickly prepare this little faux pocket by cutting them, gluing the edges down, and sewing the pocket front to it. Just the top stitch is missing and the details finished. Next, I can connect the shoulder seams. Now I can also close the center back seam, but leaving the bottom slit open. Now I can attach the sleeves and hem them. Before I close the side seams up, I have to sandwich a collar between this and the lining. And here's me making the collar. To prevent my machine from eating this tiny piece, I sewed it on paper, like I always sew most of my little pieces. And all done! It's sandwich time! By the way, I cut the lining a little bit shorter to give it a nicer clean hem, like so. All wedged in. Just the top stitch is missing now. And now finally I can close the side seams, but sewing the lining separately, and the slit as well. Lastly, I can turn everything inside out through this small hole in the side seam. And finished! I love this coat. I'm so happy I was able to create it and did not scrap it. I feel like it complements the look very well.
Could be taking Bloom so long.
I'm sick of waiting already. After all, I'm the one who's supposed to be fashionably late.
Let's finish styling this wig. I had so much trouble with this wig. I really did not enjoy working with nylon. It's so hard to style and the fiber would just not stay in the shape that I want. For a while I just kept getting worse and worse, and I needed a break. So I started to just trim off the back a little bit and get all the hair over my floor. Okay, I feel like I'm ready to tackle the pigtails again and try to style them. Whoop, I need to make compromises and scrap my original hair design. It's getting there. Almost done. A few more twist braids and much needed bubble braids. I think I can finish this wig off camera. Now the only thing left is the face up, which my sister will provide us, and after that we're done.
Too expensive.
I'll pay for it.
No, Stella, you might offend her.
So let me give you some context here for the situation. I've been working in the yard all day. We had just eaten dinner outside and Mela's like, okay, this is a good time. Like the weather is right, the MSC is going to work and I'm going to upload this video on Saturday. And she's like, could you start Stella? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I will. And she's like, okay, good. And then tonight you're going to send me the file so I can finish the video. And I'm like, you want me to finish this like right now? And she's like, yeah, you can do this in like 45 minutes, right? So it was on. I grabbed my watercolor pencils, I grabbed my pastels, just 2 brushes that I had lying around, and as you can see, a paper towel, and my MSC, and got to work. Now here's the problem. The weather was perfect for doing MSC because you can't do it when it's like humid and cold outside, like, you know, rainy, cold weather. It's no good. And it was perfect. It was dry and sunny and warm, perfect conditions. But guess what? My MSC was almost empty. So hopefully you spray this with like 2 to 3 layers to begin with, and then you seal the layers in between to, you know, basically save your progress and to have the pigments show up nice. I had to work with 4 in total, and that's including the first layers before I even got started. Working with a tiny rest in the bottle is really annoying because the spray doesn't come out evenly anymore. It makes these big blotches. And while I was doing this face up, I had to fight the blotchiness. But I have to say, it turned out really nice in the end. So you just have to be patient sometimes. Sometimes you have perfect conditions for something and it still turns out bad. And sometimes you have to work against the material and it turns out wonderful. So it's always a surprise. Stella was supposed to have a really like nice tan, sun-kissed look. So I started out with giving her a nice tan on her cheeks and nose, sealed that with a layer of MSC, and went on to sketching the eyes. I already knew what I wanted to do because I had sketched it out before, and I wanted to keep the look as close as possible to what the eyes actually looked like in the show. Then I went in with a white pencil because I feel like it helps me see if everything is placed right and if the proportions are right. And then I actually lined her eyes with a dark blue pencil. It's a super nice contrast to all of the warm orange and gold tones. And it just looks nice. I just like it. In the beginning, the whole thing looked like something I would have drawn in 4th grade. But as Mela always says, trust the process. And after refining, layering, and sharpening all the lines, it turned out nice. Because the lines of the eyes are very harsh and bold, I tried to avoid going in with acrylics as much as possible. So I did the whole whites of the eyes with pencil, just to not make it look like a factory painted face. It gives it a little bit more softness. The only thing I did was go in with Posca marker in the highlights of the eye. Another thing that I did to make everything look a little bit more cohesive, because there is such a stark contrast between the blue and the orange, is that I did the shading in the iris, you know, at the top underneath the top liner with the blue. I didn't just make it, you know, darker red or orange, but I actually went in with the blue to shade it a little bit. It just makes the whole thing look a lot more cohesive and connected. And because it's Stella, I could not go without glitter. So of course I added a bunch of micro glitter to her face and sprayed it with my last layer of MSC. That can was so empty. I like how she turned out, and I hope you like how she turned out too. If you did, then please like and subscribe and comment so that Merle will be motivated to do another Winx Club doll, because I really enjoy doing those faces. So please do me a favor. Let me do another Winx Club face by subscribing and liking and commenting. Yay!
Sweetie, put on your sunglasses.
And why should I?
I proudly present to you Stella. I'm so happy that she's finally finished. She truly is a fashionably late but beautiful doll. She is just stunning, and I can't believe I finished my redesign for Stella after so many months. I finally have a Winx Club doll! Ah, so excited! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun tagging along. Next fairy in the lineup will be the one and only, kind-hearted, nature-loving Flora. She's actually my favorite Winx girly, and I can't wait to start working on her. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to not miss my next doll video. Also, if you would share this would mean the world to me because, like my sister said, it does keep me motivated to make more and be a little bit quicker with my updates and my uploads. Stay magical. Bye bye!